It is now Wednesday, the 16th of November, and we have officially entered the second half of NaNoWriMo. For a quick reminder, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month, and it is a month during which crazy people like me try to write 50,000 words in order to finish a zero draft of a brand new novel. 50k makes about 200 pages of a paperback book, so for some people this is absolutely enough to be the first draft or the zero draft of a brand new novel. For me personally, as a novel writer, 50k stands more for, let's say, half of a draft. If you want to know what I am writing during this month for my first year that I'm finally participating in NaNoWriMo, you can go over to part 1 where I covered the first 2 weeks. And last time I finished on a really good note. I had just finished writing 30,000 words. Today, I'm not saying that I haven't progressed because I am at 35,400 words at the moment. So today is Thursday the 16th of November and I feel like that's still absolutely fine. It's good progress. I'm still about 8 or 9k ahead right now, and I'm probably going to write more today because I've only written 300 words for the day. But I am starting to feel maybe not burnout per se, but just a little bit tired. I think my work is actually picking up during the daytime and it's getting a little bit busier right now and getting a little bit more intense, which makes me more tired after work to write any words, while the first couple of weeks were a little bit easier perhaps in my day life and my day-to-day work, so I didn't have as much of a struggle to find the motivation and the inspiration after work hours. I am however participating in another writing event during this weekend, another write-a-thon. This one is called Writer Stigil Warfare. I am probably butchering this word, which is very hard to spell, and I have had to type it so many times. I don't think I'm going to be participating a lot on the Saturday, but on the Sunday I am in 3 different streams, all one after the other. I think my one is first, and then I'm on Anna Robbins' stream, and then on Marta's stream. So I'm looking forward to this, and I think it will help me catch up if I need to, or just power through some more words. And I did say very briefly at the end of a stream to a private group of people, so I hadn't actually made the promise out loud. I did say that I could potentially try and finish Nano during that event, which I now think is crazy. I think I will finish Nano if I continue at the same pace as I have now, likely the week after, so probably in the middle of the week after, which is still a week early, which is still crazy if you think about it. But things could happen, and I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, shit happens in life and you don't always get the time that you think you're gonna get. So I'm not gonna take a break or anything from writing. I'm still hoping to be able to get some words out every single day. However, I would say the pace is a little bit slower this week. Yesterday I wrote about 1,000 words, which is still a lot and a lot more than I normally do, but compared to what I have done so far in the month, it is actually quite low for my daily part. I'm not saying that I have to do 1,667 every single day, and I'm not doing that anymore, but I had quite a few days, and during the week as well, where I hit over 2,000 words. That is currently the mindset that I am in. I'm sort of in a part of the fun and games that I'm not enjoying as much as I think the rest, because I have to do a little bit of lore dropping as well in order for it to make sense to the reader and to myself as I'm writing this. And I'm trying very hard not to info dump, but right now there's a minimum amount of info dumping that is necessary to the story. And soon I'm gonna get into the more fun part of the fun and games, where my girl Viv finally goes to live with her 4 knights and things start to get heated up. So this is the part that I'm looking forward to the most. There's probably gonna be a bit of b-roll in this vlog as there was in the last one, because I don't actually want to talk to the camera too often because it is definitely distracting me from writing. So I'm gonna try to keep it in a similar format as I did last time, but mostly towards the end I'll just have a bit of a conclusion, and hopefully that conclusion will be that I have won Nano. Today is now Tuesday the 21st of November, and last night at around 11:30 I finished NaNoWriMo. I finally finished writing 50,000 words, and it was very satisfying that at the very end of my very last sentence and my very last word that I wrote, it was exactly 50,000. Like, it wasn't 50,001, 50,002 or whatever else, it was 50,000. And when I wrote the last few sentences, I'm not gonna lie, I think I was sort of trying to bulk it up a little bit because I was so close to getting to my midpoint and sort of like a separation between part 1 and what's going to be part 2 of my book, that I really wanted to finish on that note. I wanted it to be the last bit for Nano, so that my book is essentially going to be what I thought, which was 100,000 words in total. So yeah, I am feeling really happy but also tired about it. My wrists are sort of hurting today. I think yesterday, the day that I did, was like 3,000 words. Yeah, it was 3,400 words yesterday, so that was a big day for a working day. It was a Monday, and I only wrote after work hours, not even during lunchtime, so it was purely in the evening, did nothing else, didn't really watch a show or anything else at all, and just wrote. And I think in my head I thought I was going to separate it in two. I knew I had this many words to write left, but I thought I was going to finish half of those words on Monday, yesterday, and then half of them today, because I am currently streaming. I am a co-host on PB's channel, who is currently streaming, as she does every Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I thought maybe during that stream I was going to finish Nano, but then I ended up finishing it yesterday instead. I don't know what it was. I think it was how close I was. I was so close I could taste it, and I was just like, I could finish it now. I could finish it now. But yeah, last night when I finished writing, it was during one of Kate Kavanagh's streams on her Twitch channel, and it was really fun because I got to actually say it in the comments right before the sprint ended, and then it was so nice to have people congratulating me for it. And someone else also won Nano at the exact same time during the exact same sprint. So there was, again, that sense of community that has been so fantastic during this month. So my conclusions. 1, let's talk about what I think worked. I think what worked for me was, first of all, starting a brand new project. I know that's what you're meant to do if you want to do Nano properly. However, it's totally fine to cheat it and rebel against it. But in my case, specifically, I think what helped was that it was a brand new project, because I get really excited. You get the jitters, the excitement of, ooh, I have now thought about this project, but I haven't started writing it yet, and I really want to. It's that shiny, brand new idea thing. Another element that contributed to my success, I think, is that I had been itching to do Nano for a few years now, and I have not been able to do it any other year because of timing, because of the fact that my previous jobs were really difficult during this time of the year and taxing mentally, but also time consuming. This year around, I finally had nothing. Like, work has been a little bit quieter, a little bit better. Everything sort of like fell into place, and I gotta say it's partly privilege. Like, I have a regular job that finishes at a regular time. I also don't happen to have children or anyone that I generally need to take care of, apart from my dogs, so it's been quite easy, and I think it can't be that easy for everyone, and some people have completely different circumstances. And the other circumstance that has truly helped is the fact that I'm completely remote in my daytime job, so I work fully from home, and that has allowed me to not have a silly commute during which I have to figure out whether I can write on my phone or tablet or whatever. The third element that helped, I think, is definitely the fact that I outlined the shit out of this, and I've never outlined anything like this before. I have very often done vague outlines or bullet points towards the end of my project. So when I reach Act 3, very often that's when I think I need to tie all of those loose ends and make it make sense. But this is the very first time ever that I've outlined a lot more, and that I have actually found it very fun. That's another finding from this experiment for myself. It's that I genuinely enjoyed the outline process and getting to write it afterwards. I've always thought if I have too much of an outline, then I'm not gonna have fun pantsing my way through this, but actually I'm still pantsing a little bit. There's many scenes where I had sort of said, then this happens, and it's very vague, and then I write it and I'm like, wait, how does this happen? What exactly takes place in order for this to happen? And I still have so much that I have to figure out while I'm writing, so it's not a completely super specific bullet point of every single scene type of outline, but it was a lot more detailed than anything else I've done before. And then I'm going to attribute the fourth element to the community aspect of it. This is an event that so many people participate in, so many people. And I was already part of a really fun and great community of writers before I started Nano this year. So I had writing friends and I knew some were going to do it, some weren't, but we're going to write a little bit or cheat it or rebel it or whatever it was, or set up their own goals. But the community aspect meant that on the one hand, there was a sense of a heightened energy, loads of people sort of starting at the exact same point at each other. For instance, talking with my friend Stieg, who was starting a brand new story at the exact same time as me, and we were sort of doing the same amount of preparation when it came to things like playlists or mood boarding, things like that. And that was really fun to do our covers at the same time, to exchange our synopsis or, you know, like summary of the story that we were going to write. Everything was just so much fun because we were sharing a really similar experience at the same time. And I think that only really happens when you have events like Nano or Camp. And the other part of the community aspect is that there were loads of streaming and events happening during the last few weekends. So before Nano started, the last weekend of October, there was an event organized by Jess and Sam, which is the Storyteller's Hearth Relay. And that one was more for prep work. I used that time mostly to do a lot of mood boarding, refining my outline and finishing it, sort of talking about my project, doing a cover for it, all of those little things that get you excited for the writing time. The other 2 weekends, I think there was Capture the Words, and then the 30 Hours Write-a-thon, and then the third one was Writer Castle's Teagle Warfare, organized by Michael. So all of those weekends, I was streaming a lot. I was co-hosting or hosting one of my own streams, and that just also gets you in the mood for writing. That gets you excited for it, and that gets you to want to participate and do really well, because you might be counting your words with other people. You might be having a spreadsheet where everyone is on it and you can see how well you're doing and how well everyone else is doing. All of these things help motivate me and definitely contributed to me winning Nano. And then again, within that same sense of community, this year around, we were all sort of talking about our last lines of the day every single day and just sharing snippets of our writings in the Discord. So that was also really fun because it gets you glimpses of other people's work and you get excited to share your own work and you want it to sound good and to make people want to read it. So all of this contributed for sure. Finally, I think the last element that contributed to me winning Nano is probably the type of project that I picked, because I have some project, like for instance Space Princess project, that even though it's meant to be a bit of a romance and a bit fun in some ways, it's also got like heavy world building, and when I prepped it I was trying to make it sound so realistic in some ways that whenever I plunge back into it I'm really specific about the way that I'm writing it. But when it comes to this project, I thought of it immediately as this is going to be like a Wattpad story. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but in my head I know this is going to be a Kindle Unlimited type of book, and it needs to have that fanfiction-ish element to it. It cannot be too serious, otherwise it takes the fun away from a reverse harem romance. That's not what a reverse harem romance should be, right? Or at least not for me, not the type that I enjoy reading. So that definitely helped, I think, is the fact that the project felt quite light and fun. Now, things that did not work so well. Journaling. I don't know why I thought I was going to be able to journal when I'd never actually really journal. I think maybe I thought I was going to journal because in reality, I have in the past done a bit of like counting boxes. For each box there's like 500 words or 1,000 words or whatever, and whenever I've tried to do a big word count over a smaller period of time, like a 10k weekend or something, it's been really useful to be able to like scratch them off. But I was just really excited by the writing itself. I didn't need this. I didn't need that motivation. So this is the state of the spread that I started. So each of these elements was meant to be 500 words, and I have only painted over, I don't even know how many, but like 25 maybe, 30, so not there yet. And same when it comes to rewards. I think a lot of people were talking about having a reward per 10k and giving themselves that reward when they reach that point. I didn't need it, and it was more like a chore to try and think about something that would be useful, because Christmas is coming and I had to think about gifts and also what I want other people to buy me, as in Christmas gifts, what I want to buy other people, and I couldn't really think of more things that were to do with Nano, so I didn't really do that, and I think it wasn't necessary because I was just motivated by the words themselves. But yeah, on that note, I think that's all I can really say. I have been talking for way too long about this already. I think these are my main conclusions on this. I think I had a lot of fun, but in general, I'm really happy with the results, so I'm not going to complain about it. I don't actually feel too burned out, but we shall see whether I want to write anything else, especially in the month of December. Last year in December, I had a lot of fun doing purely world building for Space Princess Project, and I didn't actually write a single word of manuscript words, and it was such a good experience to do that because January came and I was so excited to start writing. This year around, there's another round of NaNoWriMo, which is made by the Troublemakers, who have their own Discord and AuthorTube channel. And essentially, I think I might try and write the second half of this current book, of the 4 Nights of Death. Maybe I'll end up publishing another draft from a different project, or maybe I'll just finish finally Space Princess Project, because I still have to write my Act 3. So I don't know yet, but that's sort of what the options are for January. On this note, I hope that you guys had a fun time watching this, and I hope that you are doing okay if you are doing nano and that you're not burning out. If you enjoyed this video and this kind of content, please leave a like, that always helps me a lot. Leave a comment, I always try to respond to those, and consider subscribing to my channel, ring the bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.